Hello, everybody. This is the Vinnys Church. We waited on Chad, but fuck him. Who cares? On to the next thing. MIA.
Awesome way to start church out. You're the best.
I'm Ronnie Hart, Hart's Motor Company, and these guys can introduce themselves.
All right. Welcome to the Figures Church. I'm the Square Deal guy, and we're all fellow resellers. If you've ever watched the show before, we have the New York Hustle with an F hat on.
Hello, everybody.
We have Ronnie Hart from Hart's Pickers, aka Hart Motor Company, who's hosting the show today. And then we have Dusty, the Alabama picker, with the other hat on.
It's my fedora with the news photographer. I actually found it in a state this way, but it was on the side of it, so apparently it belonged to, like, I don't know, Columbo or something.
Jimmy Olsen. And so today's topic is what, Dusty?
Crickets. Today's topic is fun and interesting picker stories. Just I don't know, stuff that happens to you. It seems like, you know, Ronnie's like, I don't have any fun stories. No, I mean, you got stories of things that have happened over the years that, you know, if it weren't for friends and reselling, you know, you like stories that I tell to my parents and they're like, oh, that's cool. Like, that aren't funny to anybody outside of what does this, you know, the people that do this type of business. So, yeah, fun stories, interesting stories, funny stories, cool stories. I mean, just old days.
Anything you find interesting that's out of the ordinary, or maybe it is ordinary.
Yeah, which half of my stories, what most people would probably say, aren't interesting. So,
I guess I could start out if you guys want.
Yeah, go for it, man.
All right. For me, I think one of the most interesting picks was it was a regular garage sale, and the woman had a 6-foot wizard statue made out of fiberglass on the front lawn. And it was like a, you know, come in the house. She was selling everything pretty much type of thing. So I was like, oh, that's a cool statue. I want to check this out. This looks pretty good. So I wound up going in, and it happened to be that she was a store owner that no longer had her store, but it was a store of like bondage leather type items. You know, like it was like studded bracelets and whips and leather type products. So it was definitely odd when I walked in there, and it was very gothic looking. But you know, I didn't happen to buy anything because it wasn't my type of thing. But I was a little caught off guard, quite honestly. Caught off guard when I did go in there.
Awkward looking through this stuff?
A little bit. It was kind of, yeah, it was, you know, not something I was expecting, and, you know, I didn't try anything on.
Yeah, sure.
Much. No.
Yeah. Just the chaps, that's all.
Oh, and I do want to say to, I guess we probably should have said this, Ronnie set the crap up wrong, and so if you're watching this on YouTube right now, obviously there's no chat because Chad didn't show up on time to show the right way, any of us the right way to do it. So we're pretty much going to throw Chad under the bus for that one. But if you type in the comments like you normally do on a video that's not live, the comments will still show up. Yeah, we'll have it fixed next week and know how to do it. I think it's because you started it through. If you start it through YouTube versus starting it through Google Plus, it does it 2 different ways, I believe. Because like this is the way the green room does it, where it doesn't, like, all the comments will be there permanently saved now, but it doesn't show the live chat. So yeah, oh, speak of the devil, here's the loser himself that could have shown you how to set it up right. But
you want to just start over?
We'll see here. No, because you'd have to do a whole new link and a whole new whatever. I mean, if you have any questions, just type them in there. We'll just have to keep refreshing the page, I think, to see the comments.
Okay, there you go.
It's not
a big... because it's always nice to acknowledge people's comments and stuff. I think they like that.
Well, the interaction to me is that's why I watch shows. If I can interact with other people and go back and forth, but the whole
Well, you're a lonely man.
Whatever. So it looks like we have Alberto, we have Robin Pinkneys, we have Team Wood, we have the App Stop Moonlighter, Larry's Treasures, Adam the Biohazardous Picker, we have Christopher Walking Picker, and Main Picker. And probably lots more people, but nobody can figure out where the hell the chat is. Thanks, Chad.
All the usual suspects.
Welcome, however.
There's the original F-Hat.
The original F.
What in the world are you guys doing?
We don't really know, but if you'd have been here on time, we probably could have fixed it. We spent 10 minutes trying to figure it out, but...
So you missed Rudy's story about him buying a bunch of bondage stuff from this chick. I gotta ask you. I mean, everyone's wondering probably in their own minds. Was she hot?
Not really. She was kind of up there in age a little bit, but no.
Scary.
Yeah.
Cougar bondage.
Was she trying to push any of it onto you? Like, no, really, this would work well.
Well, she kept trying to get me to try stuff on.
Did she really?
No.
That would be creepy, man.
Listen, sir, can you put this collar on for me? I just want to see how it looks.
Yeah. Does this hurt?
Holy smokes.
I'll tell a story.
Do it.
This was about, God, almost 2 years ago. It was on a Sunday, which was weird because it was the first day of this guy's garage sale, and it's weird because on a Sunday and it started at 11 o'clock, which is weird, because it's like first of all, who starts it on a Sunday and who starts it at 11 o'clock? I never have luck with 11 o'clock ones because if someone advertises 11, sometimes they just don't even wake up. It's like a crack whore or something, and so. It was the only game in town that morning, so I was like, all right, well, I'll give it a shot. It's not too far away. And so I get there, and I try and always beat the 11 o'clock by a little bit in case they have signs out, and I can just plead ignorance, so I can be the first one there. So that wasn't the case, but I got there around, 10:55 or whatever, and I immediately was really disappointed because I see some dude walking out of there, a fellow reseller, and he's got a Fender Telecaster in his hand. And I'm all like, oh, dude, no, that sucks. And so I hurry up on in there, and guy's got a full garage full of stuff. And he's got a couple other guitars in there, but they're like, those Starcaster ones from Costco and stuff like that. And I'm all like, okay, just, what are you getting on these? And he's like, $25 each. And I'm all, was that one $25 that guy just walked away with? He's all, yeah. And so I, immediately my heart just sinks. I could have turned 25 into at least 1,000 because it was a vintage Telecaster. And so I was just kind of a little pissed off at myself at that point. And but anyways, I noticed he's got just a ton of like toolboxes and stuff like that. And but the guy was kind of weird. Okay, he kept repeating at the top of his lungs, like anytime someone came up, he's all, everything's for sale, everything's for sale, like at the top of his lungs. And he just kept repeating it over and over and over again.
Did he really sound like Doc from Back to the Future, though? Like,
no, he did. I believe maybe because he had blown his vocal cords out, I don't know. But he's wearing this big 49ers jersey, and he's a big guy, too. He's a big guy. And so he just keeps yelling it out, like, everything's for sale, man, everything. And then, like, he's got a radio in the background and starts playing a Santana song. He's like, oh, man, this is my boy, this is my boy. And everything's for sale. Oh, this is my boy. And it's just like a broken record. And I'm all like, okay, this is just getting awkward. And so I pick up this giant wrench, very similar to this one, like a huge-ass wrench that $40 for this or something, and I'm all like, what do you want on the wrench? Because I wanted to like gauge his prices and his stuff. He's like, oh man, I ain't selling that. I gotta hit people with that. And right then I was like thinking to myself, you know, I could dig through these boxes, but this is getting kind of weird. This guy's like a little off his rocker, and he just keeps, you know, repeating the same stuff over and over again. And pretty soon his wife comes into the garage. Honey, I told you, you've got to keep it down. He's like, oh, right, okay. And like he was on meth or something like that. And so, you know, he just kept screaming stuff and random and screaming at the top of his lungs and everything. And, you know, I was pretty much kind of like slowly backing out because he was like engaging everyone who came in. And, you know, I was like, I determined the situation wasn't really worth it. So I was kind of like finished. And he went and he kind of chased the guy down who had bought the Telecaster. And he's like, you know, like out in the driveway and stuff like that. So I thought it was a good time for me to go. And just as I was leaving, these two old ladies started walking up and started proceeding into the garage and everything. And he just comes running after him, and he's all like, everything's just screaming at him. And you could see these ladies like freeze up. and they were like scared and everything. But they kept on going for some reason. They were like, you know, God forbid no one's going to stand between me and my Hubble figurines, you know, and so they kept going. And I was just like, oh, well, I guess they're in it for themselves, and, you know, good luck, ladies. And I just kind of took off, but it was really just weird. And I came home and I told my wife about this, and she was kind of laughing about it just because it's just, you know, you run into these people sometimes, especially like, you know, on a Sunday at 11 when people really need money or for whatever reason, you're going to find crackpots every once in a while. Anyways, it was kind of funny, I thought.
Vinny Gambini.
Thanks.
Vinny Gambini asked, what's the rudest person you've ever dealt with? I don't know that I've had rude people. If somebody's terribly, terribly rude, like they do the whole, like they get insulted by your offers and want to, you know, start well, this is worth this on eBay. And I'm like, okay, cool. You know, I usually just kind of try to diffuse the situation, but if they keep on and it gets to the point where they're rude, I'll just usually walk off. But yesterday I was in an estate sale and it started at 9. I got there at 8:30. Yes, I got out of bed at 8:30. And it's on a side street, like a real tight neighborhood that's barely got a 2-lane road to begin with and ditches on either side of the road. So everybody's literally just kind of parked on one side. It was a disaster. So I found a spot where these 3 streets kind of met that was right there real near to the house, so I could limp my butt into the house. But I had to park in front of somebody's mailbox. Well, it's 8:30 in the morning. This estate sale, coincidentally, is 3 blocks from our house, so I know what time the mailman runs this area. He doesn't run till noon on Saturdays. At the very earliest, noon on Saturdays. And so I parked the car, and this guy is walking by, this real tall, lanky looking, he kind of looks like an a-hole. And he's walking by with his wife, and he gets around the other side of my car, and I get out, and I hear him say, yeah, I can't believe that asshole is going to park in front of that mailbox. And I tell you what, I'm not really a morning person right now, but he didn't realize I had my door open. I slammed my door loud enough for him to hear it, and I said, yeah, I'm the asshole that parked in front of the mailbox. I said, hey, guess what? I live 3 blocks away. Mail doesn't run till noon. And he just glared at me and kept on walking. I was like, you know, and I shouldn't have let it get to me. It really, really, really wasn't a big deal. But, you know, I wouldn't block somebody's mailbox to where they wouldn't get their mail. I seriously wouldn't. I was 3 hours away from even being at that point. I knew I was only going to be in there 30, 45 minutes looking for what I needed. But, yeah, that's probably the only. Usually it's more customers or other customers as far as rude people. Like
I'd totally block a mailbox.
Huh?
I'd totally block a mailbox and not think twice.
Well, with a yard sale, I totally would, because you're standing right there, and if the mailman happened to come, then I would walk. I honestly would. I would walk out there and get the mail from the guy or move my car or whatever. I mean, with an estate sale, yeah, you're inside the house, but our mail doesn't run at 8:30 in the morning here.
I'm just joking. I wouldn't do that.
I did it for a minute. It wasn't a big deal, and, you know, whatever. He just wanted to make a big deal out of it, but I kind of let it go. But I did watch for him in the house, though. I was waiting for him to pick up something he was interested in and set it back down. I was totally going to pick it up and put it in another room and hide it, just to be a jerk.
You know, it's funny, just on an off topic, but it just goes to show you, you know, when people assume something. I saw somebody park in a handicap spot before, and they didn't have the placards on, and somebody, you know, said like, "Hey, this is for handicap people," and the guy gets out and he has a cast on his leg.
You know, and that's one thing I will not do. I actually did do it about a month ago. I did it at one of my stores that I frequent. But the owner knows that I was in the cast or whatever. And when I went inside, I said, "Hey, I parked in a handicap. I don't have a placard." He said, "It's my parking lot." He said, "You park there if you want to." I was like, "Okay." And he's not in the city. He's out in the country, so it wasn't like a cop was going to drive by and give me a ticket. And I told him, I said, you know, if your other two spots fill up, I said, I'll go move my car. If somebody needs it worse than me, I'll totally go move. He's like, "You're fine." You know, but typically I would never park in handicap. But hey, Chad, Mr. Serious, you got any funny stories? Hey, why don't you tell us what happened that was so funny that made you like 10 minutes late? Tell us that story.
I was at Lowe's.
Did you get lost again?
Yeah.
GPS.
I do have a kind of a funny story.
Let us be the judge.
It cost me money, but I think in the long run.
In the long run.
But Kim and I, we did make a video about it one time. We were met a brand new guy, and we had known his wife for a while. And she says, "Yeah, we have a shop." So she hooked us up. The shop wasn't open. I mean, it was dark, and so we went in and was going through stuff, found a lot of really good stuff. We were in there like an hour at least, and we come outside, we're loading stuff up, and we're standing there talking, and he had this awesome Camaro sitting there. And I kind of looked in the window, you know, just caught my eye, and like, "Oh, you got one of those bobs, you know, them punching bobs?" Because it was just sitting there, you know, it was just sitting there like this. And
I remember this story.
yeah, and he looked at me, he goes, "No, that's my grandma." I'm like, "What?" I mean, the color of her face looked like Bob, and I just thought it like Bob had a wig on. I mean, 'cause it was like hung, just still like that. It's like, I'm thinking to myself like, "Oh shit." And Kim's like giving me the evil eye, and it was. He just looked at me, and it's like, you know, those punching bobs, and.
So Main Pickers wants to know what's the strangest, most obscure, outside of handcuffs and ball gags, what's the strangest, most obscure item a seller pushed on you? I don't know pushed on me, because if somebody shows me something weird and obscure, to me, I see dollar signs. That's like rare. So I'm going to check it out. Like, seriously, if she just said, "Hey, I got a bunch of S&M stuff in the house," I'd have probably been like, "Hell yeah, let's go check it out." You know, the one funny story, though, when I was down with Chad and both of our wives, we all went yard sailing together. We went to this this yard sale. The guy had signs like like it was almost like he was manic. I think he was probably on meth. It was two like 20-something-year-old kids that lived in this big old house. Everything was run down. There were signs like every other block that said "Epic Yard Sale," you know, epic, most big yard sale you've ever seen, world's largest garage sale, whatever. And Chad gets to looking through stuff. He had, apparently the kid worked on like BMX dirt bikes, and he worked on video games. He had all kinds of really cool stuff, but it was the most random crap. So Chad gets digging through, like looking at Xboxes and video game systems, because he had like a crystal Xbox that was worth some money, which he didn't know that. But and then he had that artillery shell. You got that there. And I said, "So what else you got for sale?" And the guy's like, "Oh man, dude, like everything in the house is for sale. Go in there and check it out." And I'm like, "What do you mean?" And he's like, yeah. And it's this older kind of antebellum type house, and there's like 5 steps up in the house. He's like, "Just go on in, man. There's no dogs or anything. Just go watch." Like, he lives in this. These two guys live in this house. So I'm like wandering around his living room and like look, and then I'd come back outside and be like, "What about all the DVDs?" "Yeah, man, any of those you want to buy?" And so Chad goes, "Why is this the most epic yard sale ever?" He's like, "Dude, free beer." And I'm like, "What?" And I swear to you, And I'm like, and this is like, what, 11 o'clock on a Saturday? And I'm like, what, free beer? You know, my radar, because when you're in Florida or you're on vacation, my personal rules are, you know, there's not a drinking time. When I'm at home, I don't crack a beer till 4 or 5 in the afternoon if I do drink one. But when you're on vacation, like, especially if you're at the beach or beach related, I mean, it's okay to crack a beer at 10 o'clock in the morning. So I'm like, really seriously? Well, yeah, man, when you go in, just go straight and go like straight into the right, man. And I go in and I swear to you, I opened this like 1957 refrigerator that I'm surprised was even running. The kitchen's like plates everywhere. I mean, like roaches. But I opened the refrigerator and the thing is stocked full. There's no butter. There's no lunch meat. There's no anything. Just every shelf is bottles of Yingling. Just Yingling or cans of Yingling. Tall boy cans of Yingling. Just like 200 cans of Yingling.
What the hell is Yingling?
Help yourself. You never had Yingling?
No.
It's cheap-ass beer.
It's actually decent beer. The Amber one's decent. It's a brewery out of, I don't know, somewhere up in Rudy Land, New York or somewhere.
Really?
So yeah, so I crack a beer and I go outside. Chad's still digging. I kill that beer and I said, "Can I get?" "Yeah, man, help yourself. Free beer. That's why it's the most epic yard sale ever, man. We got free beer. Where else you gonna get free beer?" So yeah,
It's true.
Have you guys ever been to like like last week I went to it was like 100 family, not even 100 family. It was like 100 house garage sale.
Mm-mm.
And it was just like, you go through the community and you go from house to house. But for this I was actually like racing the competition, because there was a guy ahead of me. He was into video games and I was into video games, and like I was at the point where I was actually jumping like 2 or 3 houses just to get ahead of this guy. Anything ever happen like that to you? Like people were in the same, like into the same thing? And
around here, it's a lot of the same resellers that have junk stores, and they get their stuff from storage units or from going to yard sales and buying stuff and then reselling in their store. So I'll run into a lot of people that I know. But yeah, I've had that happen at the neighborhood yard sales like that. Matter of fact, we got one coming up here on May the 9th. Our neighborhood association has a big. I'm thinking about volunteering for it. It's going to be like set up at the church and like volunteer and be like, "Hey, I'll help y'all set up," because I think the proceeds are going towards something, and then like get first pick at stuff.
Wow, that's pretty cool. My neighborhood garage sales next weekend too, but I'm going to be having one. So, but you know the whole rude people thing. It reminded me of like this has happened a couple times and it's really weird. So I'm an average white guy, and it's strange how like sometimes like when you meet, like I went to this one garage sale, and if you're there early in the morning, especially in Southern California, you get van loads of Mexicans that come and swarm in on these places. And yeah, and it's cool, I mean, I grew up in Southern California. It's just like just completely normal, and but sometimes it just brings out weirdness in people. Like, because I went to this one garage sale in particular, and this has happened a couple times, and like so I get there and I'm like putting some things together, and putting a little pile, and I get a good price on the stuff, and then the dude leans on over and he's all like, "Huh. Well, at least you're not chiseling me down like those damn Mexicans." And, it was just totally awkward because it's like at that point I don't even want to buy his stuff. I'm just like, "Oh, dude, you didn't just say that." Like, and it's kind of like one of those, "Come on, you're with me, right, guy?" And it's just like, oh, why'd you have to say that, man? I didn't say that, but it was just like so awkward. Because it's like, what do you say? You got all this stuff that you want, but the guy's a dick, and you're just like, oh man.
Oh, go ahead.
Nope, I'm done.
Yeah, I got Dusty. I think this was before your time. I'm sure these guys can remember. We were at a yard sale, and you may have heard this, but Kim and I were at a yard sale, and it was, good price stuff, and this one guy comes walking up every little, "How much you want for this?" And he'd tell him, he's like, "Oh, there's no meat left on the bone. How am I supposed to do anything with this?" And No meat left on the bone. No, there ain't no meat left on that bone. How much for this? $3. No, there ain't no meat left on that bone either. And I'm like, as he's doing that, me and Kim are walking behind him picking the shit up like, yeah, that's a good deal. Yeah, that's a good deal. But, you come across these people that are so, loud and, they're like, I'm a picker and I got to make money on this stuff. What are you going to, you got to do me good and, got to lay me some meat on that bone.
In the meantime, you sneak in behind them and you're getting all the good stuff.
Yeah, well, I mean, we told the guy at the that was running the sale, it's like,
Yeah, Chris.
Sorry that guy was an ass. Dude, why are you guys wearing F hats?
He just figured that out.
Oh man, his brain moves a little slower than ever.
Ron, you have an odd story?
Oh, wait.
Can I just mute him? I would just thinking about it because of what Dusty's story was earlier today, and it was a few months ago. We just got a snowstorm, and there was it was like 2 feet of deep of snow, and I went to a estate sale, and there's not a lot of area to park, and they had a cop out there directing the traffic, so I parked on the side of the road. I have a Camry. It's not it's not like a big vehicle to get by or anything. There's people's trucks that are out further than mine. So I get out of the car, I fall. It was just I was pissed off. I get up, the cop's watching me, don't give a shit. So I get in the house. I'm in the house 10 minutes. He comes in the house and chases me down to tell me my car needs to be moved because it's in the road. And I'm like, I'm ready to freaking go off. But I mean, I don't want him to pull his freaking weapon on me or anything like that. I mean, but I was so aggravated that day. My wife's like, where did you go? And then I had to repark the car so freaking far down the way by that point because it was we got there right at the time it started and there wasn't really anybody there. And by the time there was, several cars. You have to park around driveways. People aren't, drive. It's a mess. I was so freaking aggravated that day.
Yeah. We have a question from Howard Stern. He wants to know if any of us, scan items while we're at garage sales.
Oh.
Me personally, sometimes I do. I feel a little funny, quite honestly. Scanning people's stuff at a garage sale. Every once in a while I'll do it, but I'm not really a big fan of that, quite honestly. What about you guys?
One thing that I've done before is I've opened up the Amazon seller app to scan the barcode, but I always say I want to see what the reviews are on Amazon. And they
That's
buy
a good way
it.
to put it.
Yeah. Because everyone goes, oh yeah, well, and then if it sucks, I'll just go oh no, it doesn't, not too favorable. Yeah.
If it's one of those sales where I've been there a couple minutes and I overhear him saying, well, see what that's worth on eBay, then I know I'm dealing with one of those people.
Oh, that's such a killer.
Then I'll be
That's like a real killer to me.
Then I'll be a little more discreet. If they're over here, I'll turn my back. I always, before I get out of the car, I've got the eBay app open and the Amazon seller app open, and I'll turn my back a little bit, scan the barcode with the Amazon app, or I'll put the item back down, walk off, and just stand where I'm not near anything and act like I'm texting my wife and just maybe even mumble something like, God, I can't believe, will she leave me alone? And then start typing in, and actually typing in the item into eBay. But 9 times out of 10, most people it's usually busy enough at most sales, they're not paying any attention, and I just scan away or I just whatever. I get more weird looks from other shoppers that are looking at me, or they'll say something like, what are you doing? And at which point, and I usually hold my phone where they can't see, and I'm texting my wife, what are you doing? I'll just give some smart aleck answer.
Hey Ronnie, that reminds me of something. How does it go down when somebody recognizes you from one of your videos?
It's one of the more, for me, it's very awkward sometimes because a majority of the people people that you interact with and stuff like that, you don't really know their names. They all go by these crazy different names on here, or they have, some interesting picture that you don't have any idea what it is. So when someone comes up to you in a store and they're like, "Hey, are you Ronnie?" And the first question is like, "Did I sell you a car at one time?" Or something. That's like the first thing that runs through my head. Damn it, he got that used car. Oh man, this is not good. And usually, I learned so much about this or that, or you helped me pay my power bill, or whatever. It's kind of good, but I don't sometimes deal with it very well, I guess. The funniest one was at the checkout at a Salvation Army. Right at the checkout, the guy goes, "Hey, you're Ronnie from," and I'm like, and the lady goes, "Oh," the cashier goes, "Oh, you make videos," and I'm like, and it's somehow he was quick enough to, yeah, he's like a sports bettor or sports something or another. I watch him all the time, and the lady's asking for my YouTube channel and shit like that. I was like, oh God, this is not gonna go well.
There's one of my little local junk stores where I go. I'm in there probably 2 or 3 times a week. They get a lot of stuff from storage units and all that, and I know them well and have for years, and try to be one of their best customers. I buy a lot of stuff, and they got this other regular. His name's Richard, and he's this weird guy. He's like, sorry if you're 50-something years old and you live with your mom, I apologize, but he's really, really odd. He's like a computer engineer, but he's like Mensa smart and has no people skills whatsoever. Like, brilliant, but just very, very awkward. And I've run into him twice in there, and he's a regular as well, but they told me that he buys like really weird stuff. Like, they're like, he'll spend like 4 hours over there scanning those books. I'm like, yeah, I've scanned those books probably 10 times over. There's nothing there, but okay. But one day I was in there. I've run into him twice now, and I've known him from other places, but the last time I was in there, I had my pile of stuff going on. He walks over, and it's the girl and guy that run it, they kind of guard. I make a pile, and then we get done, they price everything. He walks over and picks something up and goes, "Oh my God, this is worth like $200. They had walked off for a minute. They were somewhere else. I whipped around, and I said, "Don't touch my damn pile again. From here on out, don't comment on what I'm buying. Don't touch my damn pile." Because I knew if I didn't do something, it was going to be an ongoing thing every time he was in there at the same time. And I'm normally not a rude person, but I was like, supposedly he resells on the side or something. I'm like, you don't do that to another person.
No, I know. It's like they're blowing up your spot.
Oh, totally.
Somebody blows up your spot. You got something that looks valuable or whatever, and they start commenting on the item.
Well, I don't need to run it thinking I'm getting rich off of them. I do make money off of them. They know that. They've known that for years. They don't ask me what I get for stuff, and once I buy it, they just know that I keep coming back, and I spend $400 or $500 a week, probably a couple $1,000s a month, and they're tickled to death with it. That's all they know. That's all they care. They bought the storage. I don't ask them what they paid for the storage unit. We've got a great relationship like that. And then for somebody like that to come in and throw in doubt into that situation potentially, that's just not cool.
I told you guys my latest gripe with my storage locker guy is that, anytime I'm interested in something now, he wants to look it up and find out what it's worth. It's like he doesn't give me a price. All right, you know what? Give me $20, whatever it is. It's like either, he doesn't trust. I think he's scared of me. That's the only thing I can think of. Is he's scared that I'm going to make money on him, and he knows, I guess he thinks I know what I'm doing or something along those lines, because he doesn't do it for anybody else. I see people there all the time, and, he throws out prices. But when I'm interested in a rare U.S. military uniform that's old, I got to look that up. Give me money. I want to give you my money, okay? Give me a price.
That sucks. I would snap on.
And there's only about 2 ways. You can either say, hey, man, I don't have time. I'll give you, here's what I'll give you, cut him off. Or you could try to bundle everything together. And then when you do make a pile, say, man, listen, I got $200 on this pile right here. That's it. And so he doesn't have time to do all that. Or you can take the argumentative approach if he sits and looks that uniform up and goes, well, I see him going for, $300 to $500. Then you do the whole, well, first of all, you're not looking at completed sold. Second of all, it's from an era between Vietnam and Korea that wasn't really a popular era that's going to take probably a year for me to sell. Then I've got, almost 20% in fees, and then I got the potential for returns. And once you start throwing all that other crap out there, You know, plus I get 1099 on it, so I got to pay income tax on it. And then you throw all that crap out there. Sometimes they change their tune.
That's exactly what he did too. He said, he's like that. This uniform's got to be $300 or $400. I was like, there's no way.
Really?
I said, there's no way. I said, you're way off base. I said, there's no possible way. First of all, he didn't know what year it was. You know, I knew it was like World War II. You know, he was like, oh, I don't know, this thing's World War I. I'm like, nah, it's not that old. Like I know I can out knowledge him in things. So, you know, when he's like $300-400, I'm like, there's no way that this is $300-400. You know, and I was like, I'll give you this amount of money, you know, and he's like, no, I gotta look it up. But I think that you make a valid point. I should put a whole bunch of stuff together and then bring it to him. Yeah, so he can say, well, yeah, I gotta look. Well, no, I don't have time for you to give me a price on it right now.
And then you just go, listen, man, I've got to pick my kids up, I got to pick my wife up, whatever. In 30 minutes, I've got 2 more stops to make. Listen, I got $200 for all this stuff. And when you throw out, for me, bundling works, because instead of saying, I'll give you 20 for that uniform, 20 for that helmet, 20 here, whatever, instead, because we used to do this with automotive parts when we first started selling online, we'd go into junkyards, and instead of saying, we'd get access to the back room. They've pulled every car stereo from every car that came into the junkyard, and they've tagged them with the VIN number and all that, what they came out of, make, model, and all that. We'd say, we're interested in buying all your car stereos. And they say, okay, well, how much a piece? And we would no, let me go, just go look at what you got. And then you walk in and you kind of eyeball it all, and there's 300 stereos. So instead of saying, I'll give you $10 a piece, because in their mind, they're going to go, hell no. You know, it may take me a while to sell them, but I can get $100 a piece for those. Instead of saying that, you say, I'll give you $3,000 cash money right now for everything on those shelves. When you throw out that big number, then hopefully, and you got a pretty good chance, their mind doesn't calculate the math, and all of a sudden they think $3,000 cash in my pocket right now, and and I don't need a receipt. And then they're like, oh, hell yeah. So bundling works a lot better for me.
There was I think I was telling you guys about this story that was like a month ago. There's this guy, like, literally a mile away from me who really, he looks exactly like George Lucas, so I call him the George Lucas guy. But and he has this garage sale, and clearly he gets stuff from storage lockers or something. And he had so I stopped by his place, and he had his monthly garage sale or whatever, and he had this, what he thought was a Raiders starter jacket. Okay, and so I'm all like, hey, so what are you getting on that? And he's like, $60, because I looked it up online, and the one I found identical to it was sold for $240, and that's the closest thing. But get this, I got this from the caterer of the Raiders, and John Madden personally gave him this, blah, 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 blah. And I'm like, first of all, I looked at the tag, and it's a Stitchers or whatever. It's not even starter. And so I'm like, dude, what are you trying to sell me? And this isn't even a starter jacket. And if it were a starter, it might be worth something. But again, with the John Madden story, can you prove it? And he's like, well, no, but that's what I was told.
I get a written certified statement on a piece of paper that says that, so I can put provenance with it. And they're like,
well, I mean, but the thing is, like he's so, he's high, because he's just like, I mean, come on, dude. And I mean, I bought stuff from him before, but there's very little meat on the bone on anything that guy sells, for sure.
Right.
It's getting to the point where I just stop by just to say hi.
I'm at the point. I'm at the point with another storage guy. I just can't go there anymore.
Yeah.
Because he is charging me retail prices on everything.
I mean,
even more sometimes. And I'm like, dude, it's not even worth that much.
Unless it's a stop that really that is an absolute gold mine, and it's worth it to hang in there and try to figure out how to work out that weird relationship with them. I honestly, people like I've got one of my junk stores that the girl is incredible. She's great. Her husband works a day job, 9 to 5, Monday through Friday. And so he's never there during the week, but he's there on weekends. So I don't go to her store on weekends, because he's the guy that thinks I'm making $1 million off her. He wants, you got that internet on your phone, look that up on eBay. And it's like, really? I'm not making $1 million off you, dude. Your wife and I have a great relationship, and we've done business. We do business all the time. And she knows that he's kind of a butt when it comes to that. So she kind of just is like, just ignore him. Ignore him if you want something. Sometimes even when I bundle stuff, when he's there on weekends, she'll say, go put that in your car right now and pay me, and I'll tell him you gave something else for it. I mean, but it's, when you get people like that, just avoid, unless it's just, like I said, unless it's just a total honey hole, I just kind of quit going to places like that. It's not worth the hassle, and there's other places to be found. What about you, Chad and Ronnie?
What?
I don't have a freaking clue what we're talking about.
How about Ron?
Remember my whole video? I showed that it was sitting on the chair, and me and Kim, I held it up, and it was some type of light, a headlight. We didn't know what it was. And Kim saw the thing. It said tilt ray headlamp, and it was real nasty and stuff. Well, when I got up this morning, I worked on it.
Wow.
Yeah. And this is off of a 1931
Chevrolet.
No.
Tilt Ray. Tilt Ray made headlights for Chevrolet. Was the glass cracked? It looked like it was cracked in your video.
Yeah, it was cracked.
Actually, the glass was cracked, but what I did is I super glued the glass together. Okay, now I'm not trying to sell it as and I will put in the listing that the glass is cracked and broke. I mean, you can see. I mean, it's not hard to see, but the presentation, it gives it a lot better presentation with the glass in there. So
put hot rod or rat rod in the title, because somebody's going to want that for a hot rod or rat rod.
Oh yeah.
It came off of the president. I keep thinking Duesenberg. It's not a Duesenberg. It's a
Studebaker.
A Studebaker president in 1931. So it had two little headlights underneath it, round ones, and then these big honkers were up top of it. So I only found one listing for this particular one, and there were two of them, and they were pretty rough, and they got $150 for it. But I think on this one, because I mean it does have some pitting and stuff, this would be for a driver, because I restored an MGA, so I know as far as collectors, whether they want concourse or show car or a driver, and this would definitely be a driver because it does. But this would be a hard piece for somebody to find an original one.
Yeah, but you know what? A lot of times people would even go as far as just rechroming it. If they wanted that bad and they need it.
This would be a perfect candidate for that because it is solid. It's not rusted through. The inside is really nice. It's even got the original bulb inside it, and the bulb is pretty cool looking. But I mean, you can see. I mean, all I did is took some the finest grit steel wool, and that will really clean up. But a lot of people think that these are chrome, but back in the early days, it was nickel plated. So
that's not nickel.
Well, it depends on the year. It's very possible.
It has a certain look. That does not look like nickel.
Well, dude, when did they start chrome plating?
Dude, I don't know.
Because all my Edison stuff it's all nickel plated.
Hey, Ronnie, say you're at a garage sale or whatever, and somebody starts quoting you eBay prices on stuff. How do you counter that?
I just walk in my car.
You just take off.
If they do it too much, I've actually turned around, with the point where it takes a lot to piss me off, but I've turned around and said, you know what, then maybe, I told a lady in the thrift store one day, I said, why don't you lock the front doors? And she's like, whoa, what are you talking about? I said, you should just open an eBay store and sit in the back and put everything on eBay then. And I just turned and walked out.
Well, hey, Ron, what is your negotiation process when you, say, we've all seen your haul videos, all right, and you get a whole crap load of stuff put together. What is your negotiation process?
Have my wife go talk to the person because she gets a better deal than I do.
Yeah, there you go.
Honey, go. I mean, if it's something I know I can communicate with somebody with, but if it's usually a lot of the time, it's, I'm a bigger guy, so me saying, oh yeah, that medium shirt's gonna fit me, it's gonna work out. I could get away with shoes or, and I can bullshit people to give me a better price on things, but that's not gonna work a lot of the time. So I tell her to go over there. Usually she makes up some story. It's for her father or her brother or something like that. So
you always put a pretty impressive pile of stuff together. If someone actually knew, all the brands that you put together, do you sometimes just to throw them off a little bit, do you throw a Van Heusen shirt on there on the top too, or something to make it look like you're not purposeful?
If someone says something, I usually say, "Oh, she's Dominican. We can't get those brands down there," and so on and so forth. And usually they're very, they don't care. They're looking to get it out of there. That's why they have it out there for sale. As long as they're not asking some asinine price, I'll buy anything. I mean, the one in Connecticut was freaking, person was selling everything for $5, and then the other person wind up being from Argentina, I think, and her and my wife just had fun talking, and I was just like, you know what? She was like, how much for the pants? I said, I'll take them all. She goes, thank you. Oh. Take it.
You know what bugs me though a lot also is the weekend garage sales. People who have weekend garage sales. But what I just started doing was
Wait, what do you mean? Clarify that.
A certain house has a garage sale just about every single weekend.
Oh, okay.
It's repetitious garage sales. You're not getting anything there. It's garbage. So I started keeping track of the streets now because I forget time to time because I travel all over the place. So I got a list now of streets that I know of. Like if I'm going to go down a place and I know this person always has junk that I don't want. Now I'm writing down the streets. All right. I have my daughter doing it actually, but I'm trying to keep track now.
I use an app on my phone which is called GPS Drive, and if I always type in my garage sales in the app, so I have them all lined up by proximity and time and stuff like that. And if I start typing in an address, it will show up that I already have it stored, even though I've deleted it from my history. It'll show up again, so I already know, and I already have my notes that I put on it. So if it was from a few months ago or something, it's because when I finish going to a garage sale, I'll put a note in there and say really ridiculous prices or crap or something. So I have a history of these places because you're right, it's the reoccurring ones suck.
I went to an estate sale. I was on my way to Birmingham, and I was coming back up the interstate, and a friend of mine texted me. He's like, hey, get off in this little town, and there's an estate sale. He said, I went yesterday and, previewed or whatever. He said, it's pretty decent stuff, and I get there, it's out in the middle of the country. It's this little, just brick ranch or nondescript brick ranch or whatever. It turns out it's a living estate, basically. The husband passed, and the woman's 85 years old, and the family's trying to put her in a nursing home. And she's there while the estate sale company is selling her stuff. Which rule number one, if I had an estate sale, you're not going to be there. They locked her. It was so awkward. They locked her in her bedroom, but everything else in the house was for sale. But she kept getting out, and then she'd start screaming. It wasn't a big estate sale company. It was this woman, and she was really nice. As a matter of fact, we exchanged phone numbers, and I was going to stay in touch with her and try to get future early previews on stuff. But I finally pulled her aside. I was like, how long have you been doing this? She's like, well, this is her second estate sale or third estate sale. And I said, yeah, do you normally let she's like, no, this was really bad. And the 85-year-old woman would come out and start screaming, don't sell my stuff. And it was collectible Barbies that she had ordered off, apparently she had a QVC habit or whatever. It was stuff that really wasn't worth even a tenth of what she had paid for it. And then the estate sale woman we would get the daughter, and they'd say, put your mom back in the bedroom. And it was the entire hour that I was there digging through stuff, it was just this woman screaming at everybody about buying her stuff. And but there was so much good stuff because the husband had apparently to reload ammunition. So the entire garage was full of ammo reloading equipment and shells and different stuff, lots of man type stuff that sells good. So Yeah, it was weird.
Yeah, there's a lot of estate sales where, you know, the families actually run it. And we were at one, I guess the brother was running it, and everything you looked at, you know, or asked what it was, he's like, oh, I remember when he used to use that. When he, it's like, really, dude? Come on. I'm not here for a, I mean, you want to say sorry for your loss, but as soon as you say that, then they're going to go into this big, long, yeah, he was down with cancer, and it's like, okay, well.
I ran into one like that, and I'm not sure if I mentioned this before in a private chat or in Pickers Church. Sorry if I'm being repetitious, but one time there was this estate sale, and so there was this guy's uncle had died, and he's the last surviving person. So they had him doing all the pricing, and so you got a bunch of stuff together. This guy would come over, and he'd be like, oh. You know, and like I had a K-bar knife from World War II and some other things, and I mean clearly these were weapons he had used in World War II, you know, in the Pacific, and like it was just so awkward, like, you know, because you can't even, like, you feel bad about, like, he gives you a price and then you want to negotiate, but it's like I can't even find it in my heart to negotiate that, because the guy was just, like, his heart was being torn apart like a wet sponge in front of me, you know, and it's like, oh, dude. But he was the nicest guy, but he was just really, like, he didn't want to part with his uncle's stuff, but he knew he had to, you know.
My wife doesn't deal well with estate sales or storage units, because that does both typically involve, you know, somebody's lost someone, lost their stuff or whatever. You know, to me, if I don't buy it, it's gonna. I mean, where else is it gonna go? They're selling it, you know, even if they're because they felt financially forced to or whatever else. If I don't buy it, somebody else is. You know, and I guess, and maybe this isn't a great way of looking at it. Maybe it's me justifying it in my head. But like when I buy collectibles, they're going to go on eBay. They're going to go to a collector. If that person was still alive, they would, and they know that their family doesn't appreciate their stuff they left behind, they would probably be fairly happy to know that at least their stuff went to a collector. You know, rather than ended up in a thrift store somewhere in the bottom of a bucket. You know. I guess maybe that, like I said, maybe that's just me justifying it. But if I don't buy the stuff, somebody else is, you know. All right. Crickets.
All right.
Who is doing that shit? Ronnie, this is your game.
There's Chad.
It's not Rudy.
That was me. That was me. It was Rudy. Rudy started.
I did a couple.
Just mute them all.
Yeah.
It wasn't me. I had nothing to do with that.
Big grin on your face.
Let's do some
It's
shout-outs.
just funny, but I had nothing to do with it.
Let's do some F-hat shout-outs.
F-hat shout-outs.
I'll start. Where the hell have you been, Spokane Pickers? You disappeared, man.
Is Spokane Pickers out in the...
They're out there, but I haven't seen much action from those guys, and I miss it. I miss the videos. I miss them being in the Pickers Church pews. What's up, guys?
Yeah, next week we'll have the regular chat back where we can interact a little better and answer questions. And
well, next week is Mother's Day, so I don't think I'm not going to be here.
Yeah, me either.
Mother's Day? Yeah, no.
You guys got to take care of the special ladies in your life.
Yeah,
Amen.
we got to take this one off probably next week.
Yeah, absolutely. That shouldn't even be a question.
is it really Mother's Day? Oh, crap.
What's the date of Mother's Day? Because Kim and I have our 23-year anniversary on the 8th.
Well, today's the 3rd, so it would probably be 7 days from today.
Which would be 10.
So that's gonna be on Sunday.
Oh crap! I've gotten 3 requests now for invoice from somebody. I won an auction for an item for a penny with $5 shipping. Something I'm gonna flip. They sent me. I keep forgetting to pay for it, and they've sent me 3 payment requests now in like less than 24 hours.
Pay for the damn thing already.
Can you even do that?
I'm going.
They want their money.
I just forgot about it. Whatever.
So let's get this straight. On Sunday, it's Mother's Day.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
So Ronnie, no Vickers Church next week?
No, sir. I'll be in New York actually next week. So.
What are you doing in New York?
Visiting my mommy.
All right. I just figured you'd get it cleared by me first.
Yeah. Don't go into
Going up into his state, yeah.
That's what I was talking about, dog.
That's my state. All New England is my state. Any state I put my foot in is my state.
There you go.
I see
All
the
right,
challenge
girls,
coming on.
thank you for tuning in. I'll figure this chat thing out next time because Mr. Chadlick didn't want to help me with this one.
Dude, I've been hitting you up about it all week long.
Hey, goodbye, everybody.
Hang on just a second.
What?
Good afternoon, Mr. Davidson.
Oh.
I didn't see Jeff Davidson today.
Oh, what? That's our new sign-off.
Good afternoon, Mr. Davidson.
Hi, Jeff.
Jeff
Yeah,
Davidson.
great video.
Awesome.
27-minute. Go check out Jeff Davidson's video.
Little long. Need to cut it back.
No, it was good,
He's
Jeff.
always posting interesting stuff, though, in his Facebook stuff. So, and buy his decals. He's got some sticker business or something, right?
We still live right now?